Your life has to be the living testimony of Christ. Your life is the message. Your life and expression is the expression of Christ. No one finds Christ unless you have decided to start to step out of your world and start to go to those people and not preach to them, but stand alongside them, win their confidence, so that gradually, over a period of time, you can lead them to the person and the knowledge of who Jesus is. That's how it works. Two blind men come to Christ. Again, I love this story in Acts chapter 3, verse 1. And it says, and one day Peter and John were going to the temple of prayer. And as they were going along to the temple of prayer, again, there was a man who was, again, born crippled. And every day was placed at the temple gate called Beautiful. And at that place, one day, at a moment in time, Peter and John didn't wake up one day and say, oh, today we're going to lead a man who is crippled, who's going to be at the gate Beautiful, to Christ. No, they were going about their normal daily business. Can I tell you, you will not see the opportunities before you unless you are a man and woman of prayer, that you engage your heart and become prayerful. When you become prayerful, then you start to see the moments and the opportunities which surround your life. You know, Alexander Graham Bell, incredible man, amazing man. A lot of us would know that he was responsible for actually creating and developing the telephone. And let me tell you, young people, before there were mobiles, there were telephones. But he was the one responsible for that. Incredible. Why? What was he doing? Did he just wake up one day and say, you know what? Today's the day. I'm going to step out and I'm just going to invent the telephone so that we can have telecommunications from people on one side of the globe and speak to people on the other side. Is that what happened? No, not at all. He had stepped out into a place because he saw a need. Really? What do you mean he saw a need? He saw a need because his mother and his wife were both deaf. They could not hear. Neither his mother or his wife could hear one word. Alexander Graham Bell didn't set out in a course to discover the telephone. It was a byproduct of him seeing a need in a person's life and choosing to meet a need. Can I tell you, some of the greatest God opportunities are out there if we just start to look for needs and start to meet them. But as we start to look, God will lead us to places and positions to discovering some of the greatest and most influential opportunities where things in technology will be discovered. But the fact is, we do nothing because we just think it's all just going to happen. It doesn't happen. It happens on the basis that we understand that you've got to start looking to start seeing. Alexander Graham Bell said this. He said, so often we look so long at the door that is closing that we see too late the one that is opening. And that is such a powerful statement. So often we look at the closing issues of yesterday, the past, the failures, the challenges of the past that hold us in a position of bondage, that we can't see the godly opportunities of tomorrow. Why? Because we're looking the wrong way. We are not looking to where God is and what God is trying to do. We begin to see what God has for us on the basis that we start looking not just to our own points of need and struggles and challenges. Sure, you need to identify them and God will assist you, but more to start to look to the future and the people within the context of that future that have been called to you for you to reach. Peter and John are going to the temple of prayer, and as they're going along, again, it says, and one day as they're walking along, there is a man who's crippled at birth. And as they're going along, Peter and John just see him. They just hear him. He said, money for the poor, money for the poor. Understand this. Again, get a revelation and a true view of what is happening at that moment. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of blind, deaf, people in great need along this corridor, walking into the temple, into the gate Beautiful. Hundreds of people saying, money for the poor, help me. Please, sir, can you help me? Money, can you help me? Please, I have nothing, help me. Hundreds. But how did Peter and John see the one, identify the one for that moment that God was going to touch, which then revolutionizes a city. And through the healing of that man, literally hundreds are positioned for the future. When Peter gives that incredible address and also moves into a powerful place, people have heard, but now they experience what the power of God is, not just in Christ, but those who have found Christ and now begin to live out and work out the Christ within. Incredible. How do these men hear that voice? Because they are men who are men of prayer. They become intuitive. They become sensitive to what God is saying at that moment in time. And as he's walking along, a man who is just sitting there, sitting position, crippled from life, least he kept showing up. Can I tell you, when people have problems in their life, or they go, life's treated me like it really sucks, it's really bad, I mean, it's been terrible, my life is really just terrible. You can get so stuck in the past, you never see the opportunities of tomorrow. You've got to start releasing yourself from the past so you can start seeing the potential of tomorrow. If you get stuck in the past, again, you may be looking down and not see the opportunity walk by you. You may be so caught up in your need, your inability to stand up and right in life because you're crippled, that you don't actually lift up your vision enough to see the opportunities which are walking right by